for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast. With me, as always, my co-host, your co-host, everybody's co-host, Kirk.
Hello, hello.
And I'm your other co-host, Cam. Happy New Year! Welcome to 2023, and welcome to the very first episode of Popcorn for Breakfast in 2023. Halfway through this year, we'll be celebrating somehow, some way, I don't know if this is happy or sad, our 4th anniversary of this podcast. Unbelievable.
Insane. And we're on our way to hit 250 definitely in 2023. Can we make it to 300 in 2023?
Oh,
Cam?
I think that's a softball, Kirk. I think we're going to 300 episodes. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's easy peasy lemon squeezy barbecue chicken. Cuz like we're at 228 right now.
Okay.
So this
will be 229, right?
So then we need 72. So this is 229, and then 230 will be our review later this week, which, by the way, will be of Noah Baumbach's White Noise. We'll be reviewing that later this week, so check that out. Kirk's going to just do that for the entirety of the review. We're both going to do it. We're going to be like that cat, review. That robot cat in the movie Lightyear who like opens its mouth and just like that will be the review. Oh, Lord. So then essentially after this week, we have 70 episodes to go. Average 2 episodes a week for 51 more weeks.
If we don't miss a week, we hit 300 before 2024.
Oh, by like a lot, right?
Okay, good. Well, I'm not doing the math as you are doing it in
50
your head.
times 2 is 100.
Okay,
so we could miss quite a few weeks, really. But we won't. We won't because we love you and we love this, and there's too much to talk about. And in fact, that's actually what our episode is about this week. We are out with the old, in with the new this week. We did our top 10s, not on the podcast. So if you're somebody who only listens to the podcast and doesn't follow us on social media, first of all, big mistake. Huge, right? Like Julia Roberts. Second of all, our top 10 lists from 2022 are on our social media pages, on all of them. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find our top 10s. They were, this might be surprising to you, pretty radically different, I would say. Like we had some of the same, but that's I would say like 7 out of 10 for each of us were totally different.
Yeah, the craziest thing is that our number 1 and our number 7 were exactly the same.
I know, that doesn't make any sense.
Top Gun Maverick held 1 and 7, and everything else was just a gamble.
Yep. Yeah, and so I feel like a lot of times whenever we review things, we're always like, oh man, we're so similar. And the reality is it's true. We do have similar tastes. That's probably why we were drawn to each other to start this podcast, other than the fact that we're related. And so we talk about movies a lot. We have similar tastes, but there are distinct differences in our tastes, and I think that those always tend to come out whenever we do a top 10 list or whenever we do a movie that kind of rides the line between where things that I like end and things that you like begin, or vice versa. So it's always an interesting exercise. But we're not talking 2022 because that year is gone, over.
That door is closed.
The past is the past, okay?
We'll never speak about those things again.
And I'll be honest with you, it was not a great year for film. So I'm kind of excited. I painfully saw 147 movies last year. And I wish that I had done a better year. I wish I had watched more movies in a better year than last year. It's just, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Do you wish that you watched more new release movies, or do you wish that you would have just watched more movies in general, or both?
I wish I would have watched less new release movies. And more movies in general, because I felt like 2022 on the whole was not the greatest. There are some really big highlights, but I don't think it will be remembered as a great year for film, as like in the way that like I feel like 2019 is when you think about like Parasite, Avengers Endgame. Like there are some really iconic films in that bunch.
Help me remember, because there's kind of a trend, and it's only been in the past, and maybe it's been all time, but I feel like it's definitely been the past like 5 years of good year, bad year, good year, bad year, good year, bad year. So if we deem 2022 as a bad year of film, and if we go back to the 2021 Oscars,
20 and 21 are a wash, right? Because of COVID.
I mean, maybe
20 is definitely a wash. Nothing good came out that year. And last year was okay in terms of like,
yeah.
I'm thinking back like best picture nominees. Last year was
Me too.
Okay.
Last year we got Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, Licorice Pizza.
That's
Nightmare
not
Alley,
a great
Power of the
year,
Dog.
right?
It's not.
No,
it's
that's
really
not a great year.
2020 though, Ford vs. Ferrari, Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite. Yeah, see, that's good.
Oh, 2020 because it's the 2019 films. I guess that's what I mean. So like,
right.
Yes,
these are the Oscar
that's
years.
That's a good year. That's a good year, I think.
2019, I could tell you right now, it's not a good year because it had Bohemian Rhapsody
as a Best Picture nominee. Yeah.
The Favorite, Black Klansman, Green Book, Vice, A Star Is Born, Roma. There's a couple of stars in there, but every other year seems to be bad, good, bad, good, bad, good. Do you think that's like Hollywood getting, I don't know, like complacent, like, we had a great year, or I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's an anomaly. I mean, I think it's weird that it happens that way. It does tend to happen that way, but if it's true, I sure hope that it's true because I'm ready for a good year in film.
Yeah.
And I feel like there could be some options here. We'll see. So let's talk about it, Kirk. Let's talk about this week. Instead of our normal What's Poppin', what we're going to do is a 2023 preview. We're going to talk about everything that's coming out in 2023. Just kidding. Not everything. But we're going to talk about the notable things. We're going to talk about a few different categories. I've got some questions for you, Kirk. Some specific questions that'll kind of give you some brain busters instead of just like, oh, what are you most excited about? We're gonna go a level deeper than that. Okay, it's gonna be a good time, and we've Kirk has seen the questions, so he knows about this. We're not springing it on him. We're not. I don't want to act like we're doing some amazing improvisational thing here when we're not, okay? But we're gonna get into it.
Those guys on TikTok that like, oh, have you heard the latest theory?
Do not. If first of all, if you don't know what guys Kirk is talking about, consider yourself extremely lucky. Second of all, those guys cause me an inordinate, unreasonable, and irrational and unsafe amount of rage. I just hate them. I just really do. It is so infuriating.
From my algorithm entirely.
Good.
I have not seen them in forever. Do you still see them?
I do occasionally, and that's how I know that the algorithm is evil, because I know that it wants me to rage. It wants me to rage comment because I have rage commented before, and I think that's why. They're like, do it. Say something mean. But
look at these guys. Listen to them. We know you're on the edge today.
Man.
We saw what you've liked today.
You're making my blood boil, Kirk, just mentioning them. Anyway, let's talk about 2023 movies, Kirk.
Okay.
First question for you. And I should start by saying, this year, compositionally, meaning the types of films that are coming out, it's similar in makeup to 2022 in terms of the number of films that are expected to be released, as well as, we're seeing a high degree of sequels and franchise-based films, which is, sadly, the only way that you can get people into the theaters these days. Last year, for example, or 2022, that's out of the top 10 movies in the box office, all of them were sequel, franchise, or reboot movies, with 9 of them being actual sequels, and the other one being The Batman, which is considered, a reboot or whatever. So there's a lot of sequels going on. There's a lot of reboots, requels, new franchises being started, et cetera, et cetera. So it will be hard to know what this year will look like as a year in film at the end of it, but just know that we're kind of looking down the barrel of a year that, in terms of its composition and how it's made up, is going to be pretty similar to 2022 and the types of movies that we're going to have. But some of the quick highlights, movies that we're expecting on the sequel train. We've got Chicken Run 2, Extraction 2. We've got The Old Guard 2. So 2 Netflix sequels in there already. The Son, which is a quasi-sequel to The Father. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Creed 3. Scream 6. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Into the Spider-Verse. Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Mission Impossible 7, which is called Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
Part 1.
Dune Part 2, and this is a prequel, but Hunger Games Ballad of Songbird and Snakes. Okay. And then there's a couple of other like high profile movies that are not sequels or not, based on any sort of previous film. And those would be Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, if that movie ends up coming out, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby. Let's see, what else? Dungeons and Dragons, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Asteroid City, which is Wes Anderson's new movie, Oppenheimer, obviously, Barbie, Haunted Mansion, Kraven the Hunter, Wonka. Well, Wonka's a franchise. But that's basically a few of the big highlights there. But let's get into this year, and we'll mention many of these titles, and we'll mention a few more. Let's start with the sequels and prequels in franchise films. It's like Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my. Prequels, sequels, and reboots, oh my. Which of the films in that yeah, you're right. Which of the films that fall into that category are you most excited about? Let's start with most excited about.
Most excited about prequel, sequel, reboot. I'm going to go with, I don't know if, does this count? Is this qualify? I put this down. Indiana Jones. Does that qualify?
Oh yeah. It's
okay,
a sequel.
Good.
It's Indiana Jones 5, right?
Yeah. Indiana Jones 5, Dial of Destiny. I am most excited about that. I'm also most excited about Mission Impossible 7, Dead Reckoning, because I mean, you and I got to talking about just the series. My wife reminded me that she's never seen a single Mission Impossible film, which what?
For shame.
I can't understand that. We were watching we were watching The Star with our kids. We'd never watched it, and Ving Rhames voices one of the characters in that. I was like, "Oh, it's Ving Rhames." And my wife says, "I have no idea who that is."
Oh yeah. You wouldn't, right?
Right. There's not a lot of his filmography, but it's definitely his claim to fame was Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So those two, Indiana Jones 5, Mission Impossible 7 for the sequels are high on my list.
Those are both good. Those are both up there for me. I would say Mission Impossible definitely. I'm very excited about that. I feel like Mission Impossible is maybe without a doubt. You can't say maybe without a doubt. That doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna say Mission Impossible is without a doubt one of the most underrated series that exists, top to bottom. I feel like it should be way higher up in the echelons of Hollywood history than it is. It feels like almost an afterthought sometimes. So could not be more stoked for that movie. But I'll throw 2 more at you. John Wick Chapter 4, which is just around the corner. It is just around the corner in March. And Dune Part 2. Really excited about that one. Let's talk about the other side. Least excited about sequels. Do you have any on your list for that one?
My least have to be the Hunger Games Songbirds. I don't have any interest.
That's on my list as well. That's a prequel. It's got Rachel Zegler.
Yeah, she's not singing in it. Well, maybe she is. It's called Songbirds, so maybe she's singing in it. But either way, it can't be good. And then something absolutely atrocious that we have Fast X, which is the 10th installment of Fast and the Furious, and Saw X coming out in the same year, the 10th installment of the Saw series. I mean, both of those, zero interest past the first 2 films in both franchises.
I think the real question there is, how is it possible that both have existed for as long as they have? Fast 9 was such an absolute disaster of a film. I hated that movie so much, the Fast Saga. I thought it was just awful. And like you said, both of those franchises haven't had a good movie in like a really long time, like an actual good movie, not just good by Fast and the Furious standards or whatever. And I agree with you. I don't think the Hunger Games movie stands much of a chance. I feel like that one is not in a good spot. Also, can we please stop with the Expendables? There is somehow an Expendables sequel coming out this year, Expendables 4, which I was surprised to hear that they're only on number 4. That series, I do not like that series. And the Equalizer 3, Denzel, come on, dude. There's more. There are better things to be doing with your time than making another one of those movies. Please stop. Please stop. Okay, let's move on out of prequel, sequel, reboot land and into
before we do.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No, go.
It just hit me as I'm staring at these titles on my iPad. Fast X and Saw X. Will we have a Fast and the Furious and Saw crossover film one day?
It should be called Fast X Saw, because then it's like it should have been this movie. It should have been the 10th film for both franchises.
And you have all of the family wrapped up. They wake up and they are trapped in Jigsaw's evil plan.
Right.
And they have to get out by their sheer will. Some families in, some families out.
Dude,
there's like a radio.
That could be really good. That could be that actually might be one of your best movie concepts ever, Kirk. And
thank you.
Instead of Jigsaw's trademark little tricycle that he rides around, give him some sort of souped up vehicle, and he can just pop up and commit travesties upon these people, and it would be great. They could kill off every single cast member in the Fast series and end the franchise. I would love that. That would be so good.
Oh my gosh. And then Tobin Bell, he has a souped up vehicle, but his little puppet is like riding on like a like a 4-wheel like Tykes, like for a toddler. I think this is great. I love it.
I love it. I absolutely love that. I can't believe they missed that opportunity. It's ridiculous.
Wow. Missed connections.
On the opposite side of things that are not sequels, reboots, franchise, whatever. Which of those films are you most excited about, Kirk?
Give me Cocaine Bear with Elizabeth Banks.
Ooh.
I want Killers of the Flower Moon with Leo and Scorsese. I want Elemental, the new Pixar film, and Next Goal Wins with Mr. Fassbender.
Oh, that's the Taika Waititi film. That's right. That movie has apparently been in the works for a very long time, and has been pretty close to done for a very long time, to the point where people, I think, thought it could have been released last year or something. So I'll be interested to see that one. The concept of it, it's like about a historically bad soccer team. I don't know. I'm interested for sure. I think the ones I'm most excited about, we've talked about Barbie on the podcast. We've talked about Oppenheimer. I stated in recent weeks that I'm most excited for Barbie after the trailers. I feel like also the fact that it's written by Greta and Noah Baumbach has me really hyped. I love the way that they write movies, both of them individually, but also together. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go with another one who's very similar to the Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach ilk, and that's my guy Wes Anderson, whose new film Asteroid City releases this year. I believe it's going to Netflix. It's the first movie he's done without Bill Murray since Bottle Rocket, so that'll be interesting. There's some new cast members. Margot Robbie's in there. Edward Norton, who has done a few Wes Anderson movies in the past. It's got an interesting cast. I did not love The French Dispatch, and it was disappointing to me. I felt like it was his most self-indulgent film ever, and in all the worst ways at times. Just like he really was feeling himself a little bit too much on that one. And so I'm hoping this is a return to form, because Wes Anderson is one of my favorite writer-directors. I think he's stellar. I love the way that he does production design, of course. Everybody loves the aesthetics that he brings to the table. And I love his high comedy and low comedy style. So I'm hoping Asteroid City is a return to form for him.
Am I correct, Cam, and if memory escapes me, that Noah Baumbach actually helped write the screenplay for Fantastic Mr. Fox? Is that correct?
Yeah, he's done. Noah Baumbach has written a bit for Wes Anderson in the past, including that film, which is pretty funny because there is a grocery store scene in both that film and the film that we're reviewing this week.
Oh, snap.
The grocery stores are very prevalent in both movies. But yes, he has written with Wes Anderson in the past. So,
amazing.
And Fantastic Mr. Fox is my favorite Wes Anderson film. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on. What's our next category here? Let's go with what comic book movie are you most excited about? Actually, let's start with this. Let's start with which comic book movie are you least excited about? Which comic book movie are you least excited about?
Do you want to go first, Cam, and switch it up?
I do. I do want to go first. This is going to be sad, but I'm going to go with Kraven the Hunter, which feels like a weird choice given the fact that there are multiple DC films coming out this year that it's like, why do they even still exist? Because DC is apparently being hard rebooted. And so maybe the easy choice is like The Flash or Blue Beetle or Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. I don't know. And I think those are great choices if you so choose them. But there's an element of fun to that in terms of like, what is this going to be? How is DC going to handle this? Like how crazy is Ezra Miller? Like, I don't know. There's an element of fun. Whereas Kraven is just sad. It's just going to be so sad. These like Sony Spider spinoffs that they're rolling out are an absolute atrocity. Except for Venom, which is only kind of good. And the most recent one was not good. I liked the first one better, actually, even though most people hate the first one. So they're not good. They need to stop. And it's going to be especially sad because this one stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson. And I like Aaron Taylor-Johnson. And I just don't think this movie has any chance. Any chance. I think it's dead before Arrival. I think it's... I don't know. Am I wrong here? Like, is there any way that this thing is good? Any way at all?
No. I mean, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, which breaking news today, what's today? January 3rd, that he has spoken with James Bond producers. So that's
really?
Yes. He has confirmed that he has spoken with James Bond producers, and the Broccoli dynasty has stated that they will not pick a Bond until 2023. So this is one of their early conversations. I see that as a very good choice if it happens to come to fruition, Mr. Aaron Taylor-Johnson. But they've already stated, somebody has already come out and stated how much they've changed Kraven the Hunter to make him fit today's world.
Yes.
Which I get, but like you fundamentally changed him and he's a villain.
He's a villain. He's allowed to do bad things.
Right. Let him do the bad things and let Spider-Man stop him. I'm not excited about that one at all as well.
Yeah, I think it's got to be bad. If it's not, I will be the most surprised person on planet Earth.
Yeah. My least favorite has to go to Aquaman 2 because I tell you, I fell asleep during Aquaman 1 like 8 times. I had to rewind that over and over and over and over. And there is one of my, I think I probably followed this person, but on TikTok, someone out there put in, and I quote, "This has to be the worst dialogue ever written into cinema." And it's a scene on the beach with young Aquaman and Willem Dafoe's character, and it is just terrible. It is absolutely abysmal.
I remember what you're talking about.
Oh, and just throughout the entire film, just what an absolute disaster. So there's no way Aquaman 2 hits the right notes on any scale. So I'm just absolutely canceling that out of my mind as being even remotely good in 2023.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a stinker. I think it's definitely going to be a stinker.
Yep.
Okay, flip side, the more fun side of that one, the comic book movie that we are most excited about. For me, this is so hard. There are two that are like, I mean, could not be closer. And those two are Spider-Verse, which is now it's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Part 1, who knows? We talked about that on the podcast. They've removed it. I don't know what's happening there. Is it a part 1? Nobody knows. And the other one that's like really close to it is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm taking Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 as my most excited about. To this day, Guardians Volume 1 is my favorite MCU film. I love that movie. I like the second one a lot. I think this has potential to be the best MCU trilogy of them all. I'm excited yet really sad that this movie is coming out because I have to say goodbye to these characters and this iteration of the Guardians, and that hurts me very much because I just have grown to love them so much. But I have full faith in James Gunn's ability to put an end cap on this story in a way that is beautiful and moving and right. But yeah, I mean, Across the Spider-Verse is right there. That first Spider-Verse movie is an absolute banger. 10 out of 10 beast movie. So the sequel looks like a ton of fun. I'm ready for both of them, but Guardians is my number one.
I think you're spot on. There's not really a contest or an argument to be made. If Guardians 3 just does the bare minimum, it will be the best trilogy, because you look at any other of our big heroes who have come and gone. Those first two are far superior to any other in line, because even Captain America, you could argue, would be next in line for that. Captain America 1 honestly isn't fantastic. It really just isn't. There are key elements that are incredible to watch, but the story itself and Red Skull, making Red Skull the stakes of Red Skull high, just doesn't land. So Guardians
and
trilogy,
Civil War isn't a Captain America movie.
Right.
In some ways it is, but it's mostly an Avengers movie. And so that one doesn't really count. I think the closest one would probably be the Spider-Man movies. But here's the deal. If you're talking about Spider-Man, let's turn the clock back prior to, 2012. Right. Talking about a Spider-Man trilogy in the same breath as Guardians of the Galaxy, that answers your question right there. Spider-Man is the hero, of our time. It's like him and Batman are the two. You can make an argument for Superman, whatever, but Spider-Man and Batman are the two characters in comic books who more than any other have resonated with people, and so those movies have a level of difficulty that is much lower than doing a good Guardians trilogy. So
unique characters, building their entire backstory, communicating that through so far just 2 films. We have the special, but that's separate, right? So I fully agree. If they do the bare minimum on this, it will be the best trilogy in the MCU. So love it. Fantastic. I am very most interested in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Ooh.
Jonathan Majors, there's just, when you get an actor with such focused intensity, that's what just sucks me in. And Jonathan Majors has that. He has the task and the level of difficulty that he has already presented and executed well. And already what we're seeing effectively executed in these trailers, that's what I want to see. That's what's drawing me in. I need that. I need that in my life. And I really want Creed 3 to come out, because him entering that franchise and world, I'm down for that as well. But specifically Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, followed by Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and then followed by Guardians. That's my lineup right there.
Jonathan Majors is, I think I figured out what I like so much about him. He is a line reading extraordinaire. Yeah. He is going to find, no matter what the line is, he's going to find the most creative and interesting way to read the line. I always think back to the line that's in the Ant-Man trailer where he's like, "So what's it going to be, Ant-Man?" It's such a simple line, and it could be, there's 1,000 million ways that you can read it, but the way that he chose to read it and the way that he chose to inflect it was more interesting than I think anybody would have expected. It's simple, but it's good. And he does that in everything. I thought he was, incredible in The Harder They Fall. I thought he was really good in Lovecraft Country, even though that show didn't move forward. The Five Bloods. He's brilliant. I think Marvel's really lucky to have him. So I can definitely see why you're most excited for that one.
That's my guy. I'm following his career.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's talk about next. This could have some overlap with the superhero ones if you want to do that, but let's talk about big budget films. Which of the big budget, blockbuster type movies do you think will fail commercially or critically? Meaning it will either be a tragedy in the box office or critically panned or both. Which one do you think has the highest probability of being a stinker?
Of being a stinker?
Yes.
I've got two, Cam. Big budget films. Just to let you guys know, this is a safe space. And if you want to scream while you're driving in your car or while you're doing your laundry or mowing your lawn, if you're watching this in the summer because it's January, or you're watching, we have some fans out in California. So if you're watching out there, and
it's also 70 degrees in St. Louis right now. It's a nice balmy.
That's true. That's true. Anyways, there's a Jason Statham film that came out.
No.
A couple years ago in the vein of Jaws called The Meg. And now we're getting The Meg 2. This must fail. Not even will fail. It must fail. So we do not have The Meg 3 down the line somewhere. No one is allowed to go see this movie. I will immediately, if I see you in the movie theater and I look at your phone and it says The Meg 2, I will slap your phone onto the ground and I will escort you into a better movie. This cannot happen, ladies and gentlemen. It just cannot.
You're going to pick
followed
it?
by that, I'm going to pick it. That's right. I'm going to stand in front and say down with Meg 2. And then Scream 6. I'm very hesitant to Scream 6. Scream 5 felt like that should have been it. And I think they are just capitalizing on Jenna Ortega, who is miraculous. Her stardom, her talent, and they're trying to drive it forward. But she is not Neve Campbell. And you got to have Neve Campbell. Any of the films that don't heavily revolve around her, they're not good in the Scream franchise. So, it's just, it's The Meg 2 and Scream 6 for me.
I like that pick, Kirk. That's a bold pick. That's a surprising pick for you on Scream, because I know that you liked the most recent Scream movie, and I did too.
Yes.
And I think that Scream, on the whole, is a garbage franchise. I don't really like any of those movies other than the first one and the most recent one. I like them both. And to your point, I think the fifth one would have been a great opportunity to wrap the sequel or wrap the series up, because you get the chance to fresh start, retcon some things, straighten things out, give Sidney Prescott a send-off, an epic send-off, etc. So yeah, I don't know what this looks like. And the fact that they're taking it out of, they're taking it to New York City, it's risky. It's risky, to say the least.
If they open that film and they're like watching Hamilton, like I'm just gonna scream,
bro,
like, literally.
Or if there's like an In the Heights reference, because the main girl, whose name is completely escaping me right now, and I hate myself for it.
That's okay.
She was in the Heights, the movie.
Okay.
She played Vanessa.
That's right. She was. Yep.
Anything like that would be an immediate red flag, and also missed opportunity not to call this movie Scream Lost in New York rather than Scream 6. That's what they should have called it.
I agree.
Scream 2 Lost in New York is what they should have called it. And people would have been like, how is it Scream 2? And I would say, here's how. Because the last one, number 5, was just called Scream. So this one can be called Scream 2 and can be called Lost in New York and can have a Donald Trump cameo.
And Macaulay Culkin.
And Macaulay Culkin, exactly. I just think, I'm like, come on, this marketing is too easy. I could have cranked that out no time flat.
I tell you, we are the consultants that they don't know.
Exactly.
It's us.
Exactly.
It's us.
Okay, my big failure, I think it's got to be Dungeons and Dragons. I've got laser vision on this movie. I think it's going to be a stinker galore. I think that sadly, Chris Pine is in one of those stretches where he just cannot get a good role right now. He just cannot. And he's a talented guy who's done amazing things, and I love his work. I think he's on an absolute downfall for the ages. And in fairness, I think this could go either way. I'm just betting on it to fail. I'm betting on it to be like critics hate it. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. And I don't know that it has the commercial appeal. I know there's a huge Dungeons and Dragons community out there, but what those people kind of like is the undergroundness of it. And it has been becoming more mainstream because of Stranger Things and all of that. But I just don't know that fandom will necessarily be, packing the seats and buying the popcorn. I don't know. So I feel like that one's a risky bet.
I got you.
All right. Let's move on. Which of the big budget movies do you think is going to be a huge win? I'll go first here. I'm sticking my neck way out on this one. I have been pretty much since first call. The Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I have stated my concerns, and they are valid. I'm officially taking my position that it's going to be good. I'm planting my flag in the ground. I have said all of the reasons why I think it will be bad, and I think they are good reasons. I think the fact that they're trying to do too much in terms of all the ground they're trying to cover in the movie. I think some of the voice casting choices are questionable, obviously. That's well documented. I think the fact that it's Illumination is a red flag, but I just feel like Nintendo has so much invested in this being good. Like, if it's good, it is amazing for them. And if it's bad, it hurts Nintendo marginally. It doesn't hurt them that bad, but I think there's so much reward to it being a massive hit that I have to imagine that if they're finally giving the rights to somebody to let them do a movie, they're going to have a massive amount of creative control in that process. And they've made a ton of good Mario games. They made very few bad Mario games. And I just trust that this one's going to win and that people are going to love it. And it's going to be heartfelt and beautiful and awesome. We're going to be replaying this in a few months if that thing crashes and burns. So just know I'm sticking my neck out, but I officially am a believer on this movie.
It's going to be like, hey, Super Mario Brothers came out and had $2 million opening weekend. And then we're going to cut to this clip.
No, I mean, let's be honest. Okay. Gut check. It has to do well.
It will.
Commercially, right? Commercially, it'll
get
do
75 million minimum
opening weekend. I think that's a great estimate. Probably, I think there's upside for Hundo. It's April. We'll see. But critically is the question. Critically is the question.
I'm telling you, no matter what kind of quality it is, my son's going to love this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. My sons have already decided. They're like, we love this. This is great. They've watched the trailer 9,000 times.
Yes. So. Memorized. It's insane. Yeah, it's great. I echo that, and I also want to raise you Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I am so confident that the marketing surrounding this movie has people so interested in how Tom Cruise is still alive based on the one giant stunt of this film that they've already seen. They've effectively already seen it. And they said, here it is, that everyone will go to this movie, and this will be, and because of riding on the heels of Top Gun Maverick, this will be Tom Cruise's next $1 billion movie and the first Mission Impossible $1 billion movie. That is how much I want Mission Impossible to succeed. I think it is going to be great. I think it's going to be just out of this world because it's a part one. People are going to want to see it to determine if they want to see part two that will come in a couple of years, that it's going to be a success no matter what.
I love that take. I especially love the part of that take that is about the Top Gun Maverick wave because I think that's real. I think that's real. And I don't know that I've heard anybody mention that, but as soon as you said it, I was like, that's real life. People, I think his approval rating went way up as a result of that movie. Way, way up.
Yeah, and he's been killing the game for a while. You know, like with every actor, there's a period of time that, like Chris Pine right now is not making the best choices. Him or his agent is not making the best choices for films, or they're gambling with it for sure. And if you look at Tom Cruise's record, like there's movies in his recent history that people never saw, like American Made, which is based on a true story about him just being a private pilot who ended up touching base with the FBI or CIA and ended up smuggling drugs and playing both sides for the bad guys and the good guys. And there was like this weird gray line, and it's almost like a comedy, and it's also by Christopher McQuarrie, who's directing Dead Reckoning. So there's all of these, that and a whole slew of them. you look at him and you're like, he hasn't dropped off the face of the earth like we thought he did. He was putting out good stuff. It's just that no one was listening. This one is going to be huge.
Love it. All right, let's buzz through these last few questions, and we'll go quick so that, because I think you have a game, and I forgot to mention that at the outset.
Oh yes, I do have a game.
We need to play that game. And I forgot to mention it at the front of the episode like an idiot, but we're gonna play it. So hopefully you guys are still listening so you can hear.
Wait, let's say right now, right here, say we have a game today, and just like take that clip and put it wherever you want.
Well, I'll do that after. And if you hear it in the final, you'll know that we did it. And if you don't hear it in the final, you'll know that I fell asleep instead.
Okay.
And went to sleep. So there you go, a little Easter egg for those of you who are listening to the episode. Okay.
At this point of the episode, check back to the front if you missed it, and then
if you don't remember, you have to go back and look for it. Okay, real quick, what's the under the radar film, the sleeper film that you think will be good, that people are it's just not on their radar right now? What is it, Kirk? You want to go?
I'm going to go opposite you. I'm going to go Dungeons and Dragons is the one that's going to be better than people expect. I do.
Okay. I like it. I'm going with, I've got two. The first one is Peter Pan and Wendy, which is another Disney live action remake. But here's the thing to look out for. This one's directed by David Lowery, who directed the best, in my opinion, Disney live action remake to date, which is Pete's Dragon, and also directed The Green Knight starring Dev Patel, which I really loved from 2021. So I have faith in this. I think the aesthetic is going to be on point. The visuals are going to be on point. It just comes down to the story. And Peter Pan's got a great story. I think there's a really good way. It's a classic. It's got such a beautiful look, tone, and feel. I think this has a chance to be a hit. It really does. And then Unfrosted, the Jerry Seinfeld Pop-Tarts movie. The dude loves Pop-Tarts. This has to be a win. It's a passion project. It's a passion project. All right, moving on. What's a movie that you are surprised you are excited about? I will go first.
Okay.
I've got three. I'm going to list them fast. Indiana Jones and the Pick of Destiny. No, that's, what is that? Tenacious D? The Dial.
D, yes.
The Dial of Destiny. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
But that one, because I'm not
the Pick of Destiny.
I'm not a huge indie fan, but I'm excited about it. I really am. 65, which is the time travel dinosaur Adam Driver space movie, which for all intents and purposes should and probably will be an absolute disaster. But I don't know, man. I think it's going to be dumb, stupid, awesome fun. I'm really excited for it. And Adam Driver is must watch TV, so I'm there for that. And I'm gonna I'll name this one, even though this means that I'm forcing myself to see it, and that's M. Night Shyamalan's A Knock at the Cabin. I do not like M. Night Shyamalan. That I feel like that's pretty well documented. This movie, maybe he's tricked me again. This movie's trailer is interesting, and I like Dave Bautista. I think he's great, so I'll go with those.
He tricked you with Dave Bautista because he knows you love him.
That's right. He's like, I'm going to get him this time.
Oh, he's a Guardians fan. This movie is just for Cam. My surprise is I'm also going to say 65 because that movie, that trailer just like takes you through turns that you did not expect, and I'm down. And then I'm going to go with Wonka because I am documented as the least favorite fan of Timothée Chalamet, and when I saw it, I was immediately angry that it was him. And the more I see his face in that velvet cap and suits, I'm like, well, let's give it a chance.
It kind of works.
I think I want this. I think I want to see how he became Gene Wilder. So that's the one. It's Wonka for me. I'm very surprised that I have any interest in it. Love it.
I'm excited for you. I think it's going to be great. All right. Movies we're most excited for. I'm going to list 3.
Okay.
Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Barbie. Those are the films I'm most excited about in 2023.
I'm going to list 4 just to give one more than you.
Yeah, do it. I like that.
In no particular order. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Killers of the Flower Moon, Mario Bros, and Creed 3.
Nice. I'm going to list an extra one since you listed 4.
What?
Napoleon. If Ridley Scott's Napoleon movie comes out this year, I'm excited about that because it's Joaquin Phoenix, and I read an article that Joaquin Phoenix was like fact-checking Ridley Scott live while they were making the movie, and they were rewriting the script because of conditions that Joaquin Phoenix was bringing up, and I love that. I love that creative process. I think that's a beautiful thing, and it can only make the movie better. So I'm ready for that.
I'm going to give you one more. Cam.
No, no, I'm going to cut your mic.
I'm dead serious. Listen to me. I forgot that this movie was happening. I thought that I dreamt it. Harold and the Purple Crayon is my favorite children's story.
Yes.
And I've forced my daughter to be at her favorite. My son, he wasn't buying it, but my daughter loves this movie with me, and I want to see that on screen. Boom.
I love that pick, and I'm sorry I just screamed in the mic, but I was so excited.
That is okay.
Because that's a great pick. That's a great pick. That should be a good time. All right, Kirk, let's play your game.
This is called Say What You See Movie Edition.
Did you get that for Christmas?
I sure did. You can get this on Amazon from Mr. Bezos. He'll directly deliver it to your house. And let's see what's going to happen here. For our listeners, you can watch the actual cards online on our YouTube channel. And if you want, otherwise, I'm going to describe them to you here in audio form. That way you can play along and maybe you can guess the pictograms. So it's pictograms. It's going to have images on a card and you have to guess the name of the movie. I've got 570 cards that we're going to go through right now. So strap in, Cam. Are you ready?
Yeah, let me put my reading glasses on here. All right, I'm ready.
All right, the first one. Softball. You ready? Here it is. The card that I am holding up has a boulder and the letter Y.
Rocky.
I tricked you because I said boulder. Rocky is correct, though. You were not to be fooled. Oh, there's that wonderful sound. The next one up. Boom. It is the number 1. It has angel wings on it, and there is a bird's nest underneath.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, that is correct.
Great movie.
Fantastic. Oh, you are just doing this
steaming.
So well. How about this one? Cam? We're going to get crazy. This guy, blue shirt, brown hair, thin man, really thin legs. And behind him, we have the word future.
Back to the Future. He's got his back to the future.
Gosh, you are on fire. On fire. Here's a man. We'll call him Speedo Man, and a little lozenge or candy, perhaps.
Candyman.
Boom.
Too easy.
These are fun. These are like flashcards for the love of film. I have gone through. I kid you not. Before
Kirk had to pick a game that was so easy, so I wouldn't rage quit. This is where we're at now, folks. This is where we're at in the terms of this podcast. Is that Kirk is so afraid that I'm gonna pull the plug on this whole thing that he's picking easy games, so I feel good about myself.
Not necessarily.
Now I'm going to get one wrong. Here we go.
How about this one? We've got letters. We've got numbers. We've got a colon. It's insane. I've got PA00:00RIS. What does that mean? I'll say it again for our listeners who are only listening. The letter P, the letter A, 00:00RIS.
Okay.
I finally stumped you.
Dude, what is this? The 00:00 has to be something about like time.
5 seconds.
Oh, what?
4.
I've got nothing.
3, 2, 1. This is Midnight in Paris.
Midnight in Paris. Midnight. It's in military time.
That is correct. The 00 is in the middle of the word Paris.
Well, don't put it in military time, game. Come on. What is this? 00.
I thought you were about to tell me not to put it in military time.
No. My complaint is with the manufacturer.
How about 2 more?
Yes.
Here's for our 80s fans out there. Can you get this one? This is the word.
Pretty in pink.
That is correct.
It's pretty in pink.
It's literally the word pretty in the color pink. I couldn't even say it for our listeners. Our listeners only are like, what the heck, man? I didn't even stand a chance.
All the more reason to go to the YouTube channel. That's all I'm saying.
All the more reason indeed. Here we go. This is the final one for today. Ready. Now, just know, again, I have like 600 of these cards.
Yes.
And I intend to randomly pop these up with Cam in the future.
Pop quiz.
Pop quiz. Like Speed. Here we go. I've got a wolf, a howling wolf.
Okay.
I've got standing on some bricks, maybe a parapet, I don't know, and a winding road.
Wow.
A wolf, a brick wall of some sort, and a road, a winding road.
Let's see.
Wolf. Wall.
Are you about to activate a sleeper agent?
Yes.
Wolf, wall, winding road. Wolf, wall, winding road. Oh. No, I was gonna say Dances with Wolves. It's not Dog Day Afternoon. The wolf is really throwing me here.
The wolf. What are some titles with a wolf in it? Or Winding Road?
Or a brick wall. Road. Or a brick wall. I have no idea.
You have been deceived. If you were looking at this card on YouTube, you'd probably guess it because it is not a road, it's a street, and it is not a brick wall, it is just a wall.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
The Wolf of Wall Street, that is correct.
That's just me being dumb.
I duped you.
Well, here was the thing. When you said wolf, I was like, is it a wolf? Or is he saying wolf to trick me? But I should have known. It's clearly a wolf. It's gray. It's howling. I mean, what more evidence do you need?
And wolf was the truest part that I told you.
It was. It was. I know. I was like,
well, that is my game for today. That is my game. The only way that I could stump you is by deliberately tricking you. Otherwise, I think that you would have absolutely gotten
no, it was a good game. It ended up being good, which is good. I was glad I got wrong. It's kind of like you don't want if you're cheating on a test, you don't want to get every single question right. You know, it's kind of one of those things. Whereas, like, you were like, well, I have to pick an easy game, but he can't get every single one right. Otherwise, he'll feel too good. I like the strategy there. It was good.
Thank you. Say What You See, movie edition. Pick it up on Amazon. They're not sponsoring us, but if they want to, we'd be available.
Free ad. There you go.
Free ad. I don't think they could sponsor us because I believe this was only $8.
$8.
It's a fun one. If you like movies, they've got other categories, things I'm sure. Say What You See with little fun pictograms, and you will hear this again. Mark my words.
That's awesome. I got a movie trivia game for Christmas as well. That was like $5. Yes. And I started reading through the cards, and it appeared to me like the trivia is not hard, but it does require you to have seen the film. Like,
okay,
all the questions were things that like you couldn't have known if you hadn't seen the movie, but if you've seen the movie, there's no chance you don't know it. You know?
Okay.
I like that's weird, but it's true. You know how like some people have like never seen The Hangover, but they know about like the wolf pack and the baby and the drumming. You know, there's different things that you pick up if you haven't seen the movie, but this game will not allow for things like that. So
interesting. I've also never seen The Hangover, so I would be immediately out on that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's all we have for you this week. Well, not really. That's all we have for this episode. Later this week, we are going to be reviewing Noah Baumbach's White Noise, starring Adam Driver, Greta Gerwig, Don Cheadle. Kirk's going to make that noise the entire episode. It's going to be an absolute blast. You can watch it on Netflix. So if you're like, I've never heard of this movie, what's going on? Watch it on Netflix, then join us on Friday when the episode drops on your favorite podcast network or podcast provider, as well as YouTube, and you can check it out then to hear our thoughts. But until then, we are going to give a special thanks, as always, to our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs, as well as his band, Rhetoric, who created the original music that you are hearing right now. Check them out anywhere you can listen to music. Happy New Year, and we will see you later this week.
Talk to you then.